Welcome to the South Australian True Crime Podcast, where we tell the forgotten stories of murder and disappearances that have rocked the state of South Australia. South Australia was once wrongly given the moniker of murder capital of the world by an ill-informed British documentary maker. However, South Australia certainly is home to some of the more bizarre murderers and serial killers. All of the stories in these podcasts have been thoroughly examined and researched. If any of the South Australian true crime stories cause any issues with you, please contact Lifeline on 13 11 14 or Beyond Blue on 1300 22 46 36. All our stories are available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and on the South Australian True Crime website at southaustraliantruecrime.com.au. Please like, subscribe, leave comments and recommend these podcasts to all your friends and family. Today's podcast is presented by AUSTEES, the Australian t-shirt printer, and SMOKY Blues Guitars. Links for these businesses can be found in the notes of this show. And now, buckle up and on with the show. It was Wednesday, the 11th of January 2012. This time of the year, in the tiny Adelaide Hills town of Kersbrook, the temperature was starting to climb towards the day's top of 31 degrees Celsius. The majority of the town's population of 450 people were already up and about or at work. However, a semi-retired man was out for his twice-weekly walk, where he would walk about 3 kilometres out of town along the South Para Road and then return. The man was about 50 metres past the government's official Kersbrook sign, walking at a meandering pace, when he noticed what looked like a pair of legs poking out from leaf litter down an embankment about 2.5 metres from the roadside. He climbed down the embankment and thought the man may have been asleep, but also noticed the shirtless body was covered in blood. The walker picked up a stick, poking the body and saying, "Are you all right, mate?" But there was no answer. The walker returned immediately to his house and phoned the police, informing them that he thought he had found a body. The police arrived about 20 minutes later, with the walker showing the officers where the body was. Immediately the South Para Road was closed off to traffic. As more police arrived, they noticed that the body was dressed only in tracksuit pants and was shirtless. There was no wallet, mobile phone or identification. There were signs of significant head injuries, and blood was everywhere over the body and ground of the surrounding area. At 4:45 in the afternoon, a man approached an officer at the scene. He stated that when he was heading home 2 days previously, the man had seen a group of young men in the area near the body's discovery. They seemed to be punching someone on the ground, as he role-played the punching motion to the police. Another man came forward, stating at around 5:45 Monday evening, he had seen a white Nissan Exa pulled over to the side of the road close to where the body was found. Police put out TV and radio pleas for help, and they soon discovered that the body was that of 27-year-old Jason Doels. Jason, originally from Queensland, along with his partner and young son Isaiah, moved to Glenelg just over 12 months before his death. Back in his home state, he had been in trouble for a few different crimes, including vehicle theft. He brought his family to South Australia for a new fresh start. He had enrolled in a couple of TAFE courses and had recently obtained his forklift license. A coroner examination of Jason's body revealed his body had more than 80 separate injuries, including 9 stab wounds. Police tried every avenue open to them, but could not find a reason or any likely suspects for Jason's murder. A $200,000 reward was on offer, but still, no one would come forward with any hard information. The police had their suspicions of who had done this and kept hounding those believed responsible, but no proof could be found and still no one was talking. In 2016, someone came forward with an anonymous tip about a black Ford Falcon ZR6, stating that this car's boot transported Jason before they murdered him. The problem with the car is that it is possibly the most challenging vehicle in the world to access. The story with the car was that it was moved from one northern suburb's property to another for quite a few months before it was put in a shipping container and transported to Inaminka in South Australia's outback, where the vehicle was burned and buried 5 meters down. You don't get much more isolated than Inaminka, 1,300 kilometers northeast of Adelaide. The police went to the property, where the vehicle was apparently buried, to find an industrial shed built over the burial site. Information started to leak out about the people who committed the murder. Eventually, 2 eyewitnesses came forward and spilled the beans. The owner of the black Ford, buried at Inaminka, who was not involved in the actual murder, turned informant in exchange for immunity. It seems Jason was at a house in Paraka, with several pairs of designer sunglasses, trying to sell some or swap for drugs. One pair went missing, and Jason started searching for them. At this time, Kim Wayne Barnes, Shane Matthew Muckray, and Chad Badcock were also at the property. Chad thought Jason was trying to steal property when all he was doing was looking for his sunglasses. Chad was pacing around the house, threatening to get Jason and bash him, and was calling Jason a lowlife thief. When Jason walked into the same room as Chad attacked and started punching Jason and knocked him out with an elbow to the head. Because Jason had indigenous blood, Chad started racially abusing him when he next woke up, and then both Chad and Kim began punching him. Finally, they hit him over the head with a shovel, strangled him with a set of video AV cords, and made him clean up some of his blood. The beating lasted close to 3 hours, with Jason drifting in and out of consciousness. Chad told the driver to bring his car around near the house's back door. The driver did as told, and when at the back door, started to lay a sheet on the back seat. "You won't be needing that, this one's going in the boot." Sure enough, Jason was put in the boot of the black Ford ZR6 and smashed over the head with a shovel. Kim, Shane, Chad and the driver started driving into the Adelaide Hills. A few times, Jason started kicking and screaming, so the fold-down armrest, which also gave access to the boot, was folded down, and punches were thrown at Jason through the opening. The car continued, and as they passed through Kersbrook, the boot popped open, the driver pulled to the side of the road, and all of a sudden, Jason jumped out and made a last-ditch run for freedom. Kim, Shane and Chad jumped out of the car and ran Jason down, punching and kicking him brutally. Knives were produced, and Jason was stabbed 9 times, 4 times in the left of his face, neck and shoulder, 3 times in the right side and twice in his right buttock. The 3 returned to the car, leaving Jason on the side of the road down the embankment. The car drove back to the Paraka house. During the trip, Barnes and Badcock began boasting and big-noting themselves about the assault, how they had punched, kicked and stabbed Jason. At the house, Terry Lee Jordan, Kim's girlfriend at the time, helped Kim, Chad, and Shane clean up all the blood, which took a couple of hours. Once that task was complete, everybody just returned to their everyday lives as if nothing had happened. After the initial news reports on the case, things went quiet. 4 years later, in 2016, police launched a cold case investigation featuring the Jason Doyle's case. It's believed that 2 people came forward and suggested the police look at the black Ford ZR6 and informed that it was buried in Inaminka. Police put pressure on a particular group of people they believed were associated with the Ford. Soon the police had made 4 arrests and given one person, the driver, immunity for turning in evidence. The 3 men arrested, Chad Badcock, 31, Kim Wayne Barnes, 32, and Shane Matthew Muckray, 28. Chad Badcock was a member of the Common Sheroes MCC and ended up involved with this case over drug deals he was negotiating with Kim Barnes. Chad was also involved in the Highway Inn, a fray, with Vince Focarella back in 2011. He pleaded not guilty to Doyle's murder, but was found guilty and ordered to serve a non-parole period of 29 years for instigating the attack. At the time of his arrest on this matter, he was already doing time for other crimes. This took his total non-parole period to 32.5 years. Barnes pleaded not guilty, but was labeled a violent, cowardly and inhumane murderer, and sentenced to a minimum of 26 years. The judge stated that McRae was the lesser of three evils, and ordered him to serve a mandatory minimum sentence of 20 years. Terry Lee Jordan, who helped conceal the bashing and murder by mopping up blood left in several rooms and backyard of her house, escaped prison, but received a suspended 3-month prison sentence after pleading guilty. Thank you for listening to another South Australian true crime podcast. I hope you have subscribed, hit the like bell, commented or left a rating. We will be back with another true crime story from South Australia real soon. And don't forget to visit our sponsors, AUSTEES and SMOKY Blues Guitars. Links are in the notes below. Until we meet again, don't forget. Don't get murdered.